Okay, so we're going to come in now and we're going to create our first model. So we'll create a new model here. We'll call this Keypass, and we'll click Create Model, and we'll open that up. Now this is open, we can start to create our first automation. So we're going to come into the components here, navigate to our desktop actions, and the first thing we need to do is open the application. So we have open application, we have a command for that, and we need to enter a path to the executable to use in our automation. Now we're going to execute this within the shop that we have here. So I'm going to navigate to the Keypass installer, and we'll find the exe here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to come in and we'll take the location that's specified here. We'll paste that in. We just need to put some backslashes here to escape everything appropriately. And then we can hit the save button. Now the next thing we're going to do after that is when it first opens, we open up the Keypass app, and we're going to click on the new database button here. Now to do that, we can come in, we can take a look at our inspectors here. We can see that we don't actually have an automation ID, but if we go down, we can see that this has name of new database. Now, if we look in the desktop automation documentation, you'll see we have various different locator strategies here for picking out and being able to identify different objects. Here, what we have is the ability to come in and formulate XPaths, IDs, class, text, value to identify different objects. In this case, we're going to come in and we're going to pick out an XPath here. So I'm going to come into our application. Firstly, we're then going to click on a button. So we'll select the click, and we're going to formulate an XPath here. Now, what we want is a button which has the name of new database. So to do that, we're going to go in and we're going to look for a button which has a name database, and we're going to click on that particular button. Now once we're done at the end, we're going to come out and we're going to close the application. Connect that up, and here we're just going to say click new database. So if we do a relayout, we have our model. Let's do a generate, and we'll see we have one path running through. The best practice here is as we go through creating our model, we should come out and we should create the automation, and we should make sure it's running together rather than creating a big model and then trying to figure out what's going wrong with it. So if I open this up, what we'll see is we have a framework folder here, and we're just going to directly paste this onto the desktop. We're going to open it up, we're going to run a test, and we're going to make sure everything's working. So we open the framework folder, we have a Visual Studio project file which we're going to open. Now we're just inside Visual Studio. The first thing we need to do is right click and restore our packages. If we then navigate through, you'll see here we've got our test case present. Now if we go to Test Explorer, you'll see that we have those tests available here in the tree structure. We can come in, select the test we want to run, we can hit the Run button, and that is going to go away, and you'll see here it's open Keypass, it's then hit the New button, and what we should see at the end is that this test case is closed. We'll see that that's been passed successfully in Visual Studio. If we come back to our browser here, take a look at Test Modeler, we'll see we've got test passed, and we'll come in, we can view that result, and we can see each of the steps it's gone through as it's executed the test case. Now what we're going to do is take that a couple of steps further, and we're now going to come out, go through the new database screen and add a few more steps. Now throughout this, all the actions we're using are documented. Really recommend you take a look and go through this documentation to understand all the automation actions we can support in Test Modeler, along with the different locator strategies for picking out the different items within the desktop application. So let's come back and let's open back up Keypass. Okay, now if we come back into the Keypass app, once we hit the new database button, we're presented with this form, whether we want to create a new database or we want to cancel. If we come back into the inspector and we do a refresh, see we have our Keypass main form. Under here we have a new window, and under here we have an OK and a cancel button. And what we'll see is that this OK has an automation ID. So we'll come in to our model. We're going to add a new click action here. It's going to use our automation ID. And what we're going to do here is we're going to click OK to create a new database. Now, once we hit OK, we're going to be presented with a form that we can hit save on. Now, within this form, if we take a look, let's do a refresh. What we'll see is that we have the create new database, and within here we could go and enter a file name. We can navigate down within this create new database to the save button, and we'll see that this has a name here. So we're going to use the XPath to pull out the name and use that. So click action. This is going to be of type XPath because we're going to come in and use that as the locator strategy. We're then going to add a // We're going to have a button, and the name is going to be equal to save. Now, once we hit the save button, we're going to create a new database, and then we're going to be asked to enter a new master key, a master password, and a repeat password. Now, again, if we take a look within here, let's do have our Keypass. Now have this create master key window, and within here we can enter different values. So the next one we're going to do is we're going to enter a repeat password. See, that has an automation here. Of course, this one. Password. We'll come in here, we're going to send some keys to our password here. Word. Then come through and we can start populating this and go through the whole scenario so that we literally go through creating a new database all the way through to entering a master key and hitting OK. But this should be enough for the tutorial to give you a sense of how we open an application, hit the click button, and we can enter text on different fields.